And now, Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester. With me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blank. Tyler, I think since the last time you and I sat face-to-face, you can still hear it in my voice. The throat's a little raspy. You and I became not one, but two-time Sports Podcast Award shortlist finalists for our work on Gimmick Infringement. It's so good to see you, my friend. How you doing today? And congratulations.
Likewise, I'm well, bro. Congrats to you. You said it perfectly. Two-time Sports Podcast Award Best Wrestling Podcast finalists. Thank you all so much for supporting us. I mean, truly, Brad. I think we've reached the stage where we can say this would not be possible without so many people who have supported us. Of course,
truly,
Mo, Warren, Jabari, the entire 19 Media family. Everyone tuning in. Certainly, if you are listening or watching us right now, we owe a huge note of gratitude to you. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for supporting us these last 3 years. Brad, it feels amazing. And we knew that. I knew that we had applied for it, right? You had spent so much time compiling the clips and officially, submitting us to it, right? But the fact that we received that nomination and we see our name, we see GI amongst Fightful and Conan's keeping it at 100 and all of these really amazing people in the space, it just filled me with so much joy and gratitude. Again, I congratulate you, and I'm so thankful for everyone who's been along with us for this journey. It feels incredible.
Yeah, it's surreal looking at the list and seeing some of the people that are on there, and then it's like there's our faces, just it's right there with all these other things.
Again.
Yeah.
They didn't kick us out. We're still here.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's humbling. It's awesome. I think it's a testament to just all the people that support us, like you said, and to, I don't know, just having fun and playing around. It's pro wrestling. It should be fun. If it's not, then what are we doing here? What are we doing? Everything is wrestling.
That it is. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So that obviously was a highlight of the weekend. I also saw Black Nativity. Shout out to the Black Theater Troupe, right. Downtown Phoenix, Helen K. Mason Theater. Really cool spot, Brad. It's kind of a annual tradition for my family and I. Mm-hmm. In fact, my mom says, this is part of your Christmas gift. I'm gifting you all tickets. We've seen the show many times. She wants to see it. Do you ever have the case where someone does that, where this is my gift to you, but ultimately, I want to see that this is my... If my mom listens to this, which certainly she will, I'm probably going to get a text saying, why are you talking? Why are you... Listen, Black Nativity was incredible. Yes, I've seen it many times, even though it was gifted. But it was, shout out to my mom. It was incredible, Brad. It's like half theater performance, half church. It was, and then there were a bunch of kids that were a part of the play. So there were, maybe 9 years old and younger, like ages 4 to 9, who were part of it, and they were adorable, and they were singing their hearts out, and they were dancing, and it was just, people were just loving it, as was I. And so Black Nativity was dope. Sports Podcast Award. Again, please vote for us, by the way. I did not put the pitch out there, Brad. Let me make sure I have this correct. We're going to go sports. No, hold on. I'm totally fumbling this.
I got you.
You have
Ready?
the...
I do.
I know there's social.
Sportspodcastgroup.com.
Yep.
And then you can go into the vote now, find the wrestling category. Yes. If you want the whole URL, it is sportsgroup.com/sports_category/best-wrestling-podcast/ hit the enter button, go there, do that, not on your phone. Sportspodcastgroup.com on your phone and go to vote now. You do have to register. It doesn't take very much time. And then you get one vote. Cast it for us, please, if you believe in us. If you're listening, I assume you do believe in us. And if not, I don't want to hear about your vote.
I'm so glad I have an amazing partner to save me from just my long tangents that were clearly going downhill. You can also follow Sports Podcast Awards at Sports Pod Group on social. I'm looking at their Instagram right now. So please show them love as they have shown us. Brad, we also have 2 colleagues on the team who were nominated in the
same category, Tyler. What do you do?
We're referring to the Best Basketball Podcast Award. Shout out and congratulations to our colleague Desmond Powell of Hip
Yes.
City Games for his nomination, as well as Warren Shaw and Cal Lee for the second year in a
So
row
cool.
being
Yeah.
nominated for their incredible podcast, the Baseline NBA. So, Brett, so many wins going on. And then finally, to cap it off, not only do we have the SPA nomination, not only did I see Black Nativity again, maybe the best Black Nativity show I've seen, but somebody graduated. You graduated from your master's program. Yes, you. If you're on YouTube, you can see Brad's background. There are some additions back there. I'm so proud of you, Brad. This is not the first time we've spoken of your grad school journey on air, but the big day finally arrived. I know you're going to talk about it soon, but this just was the final piece of joy for me this week. Is you did it. I'm so proud of you. Congrats on completing your program. I can't wait for everyone to hear the details.
Well, on that note, we may as well get into it. I was debating whether or not I wanted to dust off the imaging, dust off the music. I'm really going to have to dust it off and find it. I might have deleted it because it was so popular back when we were doing this at the outset. You and I at one point overlapped with grad school, and this will be the final edition of This Week in Grad School. So play the music, play the imaging. Let's get into it. Oh, it feels good to be done, man. It feels really good to be done. Two things I take away from this. Number one, all the people that supported me. I have so much love for you, for my family, and I have just this giant support system. And also this time I didn't do a whole lot of look at me Louie with this. I don't like when people post stuff about them doing the bare minimum. I don't like when people do posts on social media that are like, look what I just did as part of my job description. I can't stand that stuff. It's just like, just do it. Shut up. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody gonna like, great job, pal. Nobody cares. So the only real thing that I said for this master's degree this time around was, I'm done. And I had a whole bunch of people reaching out to me going like, did you get a doctorate? Didn't you already have one of these? I didn't know you were in school. So many people reached out to congratulate me, but they were all shocked and surprised that I was even taking classes. One of my family members even reached out and went, oh, I didn't know you were in grad school. So I kept this very, very quiet because I just wanted to do the damn thing. And I didn't want to talk about it this much. The other thing I didn't pat myself on the back for publicly, I'm doing it right now publicly because I am proud of it, is I got a 4.0. I've never had a 4.0 before. I have a 4.0. And it's the first time in my entire academic career. So in 42 years, I haven't had straight A's, and I had straight A's for the program. And I'm proud of that. Very proud of that. Am I perfect? No, I am not. But it feels good to have those numbers to say you didn't just finish, you finished really strong and walked away with a lot of knowledge. The second thing I took away from all of this isn't just the gratitude, it's the perspective on what's really important in my life. And I learned a lot of good skills from this. I've applied many of them to GI. I worked on a project for your colleagues that you were gracious enough to let me work on for you. It's a lot of trust, and I had a lot of fun doing that for one of my classes. But Tyler, earlier this week, I came back to school. I was not there the previous Thursday or Friday. That's why we didn't do GI. My throat was destroyed. I was sick, laying on the couch, no voice for the most of the week. This is the best sound all week. And it's not good as I clear my throat into a microphone. Embrace the mess. I got this, 20-inch wide, whatever that is. It's not an 8x17. It's bigger than that poster from my kids that I wasn't expecting, that had the word congratulations and a graduation cap on the front of it. And all of my second period mental and social health students had signed it to tell me how proud they are of me. And two of the kids got me a card and a Starbucks gift card. and express their love in the card for me and how much I mean to them. And it was like, yeah, this is the part that matters, right? This is the part that, not the grinding and the late nights and the long weekends and the absolute ass destroying chair I have to sit in for hours on end. It's not that stuff at all. It's the people and the interactions we get to have, the memories we get to make. And it's been humbling. I got to go to a graduation ceremony that was not a graduation ceremony. It was a 30-minute Zoom meeting with the people that were in my program that impacted my life. And when I found out they wouldn't physically be at the graduation ceremony after I ordered all my regalia, I thought, well, whatever. I got a new robe and a new hood to wear to graduation this year for Marana High School. And also I really just wanted to see these people again. Not just get my piece of paper in the mail, which I'm sure will show up in a couple of months. Who knows? I don't know how long that stuff takes. I don't even think grades have been posted yet. So I'm grateful for all the people in my life, and I'm grateful I have that perspective. And I'm just glad for now that it's over. I do have some more college in my future, unfortunately. I decided earlier I'm gonna finish up my gifted certification, so I should have that going into the start of next school year. I have 2 or 3 classes to take, and I can start banging those out as early as next month. And I'll have that, and then I have to start working on my CTE cert for stagecraft. So still miles to go, Tyler, but grad school's over, and now it's certification programs begin. So looking forward to the next steps and the next part of my adventure.
The marathon continues, as they
Yes.
say. I'm so proud of you and all that. I know I said that a few times on air and off air, but before we move on to the wrestling topics for the day, because, you know, we got to talk some WWE and AEW amongst many other topics on this episode. What you said is so impactful, where the students from your second and third period created that for you, because you are modeling this for them, whether they choose to go into academia or pursue, you know, higher education after, whatever their plan is, they're going to be amazing. The fact that you are modeling this ability to just have balance in your life and just pursue what you're passionate for, and just like it just makes, I know how much affinity you have for certain professors in your program. I know I sent you a voice memo about this. Like, let's not forget that you are that for your students, right? You are this consistent, wise, impressive, consistent person for them. So that's just a part of this that is really amazing to me, is you didn't do this in a silo. You did this, and you have a job that is so community based, and people not only saw you work for this, but want to celebrate you. Like, that's just my favorite part. Is I know you don't do it for the likes or the, you know, any sort of these artifacts, but the fact that you're modeling this ability to just pursue goals and just go for like that growth mindset, trying to better yourself.
Yes.
Even though you have so much going on, this is something that you committed to, you saw it through, and here you are on the other side now, accepting your flowers as you should. Absolutely amazing.
And I don't want to sell short the support from the parents, because when I tell you, I was like, yeah, I got to put in some grades. It's like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I got to put in some grades, and it's been a couple of weeks. So I got to get in there. And I looked at it, I went, oh, October 13th. Well, shit. That is a long time to go without putting in grades.
It's hard, man.
So I made it a point to
teaching.
So I made it a point to create an email and go like, here's what your kids did this semester. Here's what we're doing coming up. Here's the canned food drive information, which my kids pulled through. Every single class had, I believe the smallest donated amount was 650 donations. And then every class up from there. So we had around 3,500, 4,000 donations for the canned food drive. I'll go into the Marana Food Bank. So that's really great. So shout out to them. But I sent home a thing and just saying like, hey, I just finished graduation. All of the major assignments are in. Expect a lot of homework assignments to go in. I apologize for the wait. Please let me know if you want to know right away, if you don't want to wait for me. And now, after we get off of this, I have to go run to Walgreens, and then it's back home. I have to write 5 letters of recommendation, and then I have to update the grade book, and then it's on to letter writing from there for me for the Christmas gifts for the kids. So that's always going to be a source of sleepless nights, but it's always completely worth it. I'm overwhelmed by the amount of support of people in my life, and I don't have to do this job. I get to do this job, and it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. I will say this, Tyler. Transition. I was at Fry's. I want to say Wednesday. I don't know what day it was. I was walking into the new Fry's. Shout out to Brian Husted, who was working behind the deli counter, who lines up, takes his mask down, and goes, "Oh my God, is that Brad Winchester of Gimmick Infringement?"
What?
Never been more embarrassed in my life.
You said this guy's name's Brian? Shout out to Brian.
Yeah, Brian shouted me out very loudly in the
Brian's
cheeses.
sportspodcastgroup.com. The voting ends January 13th. Thank you very much.
In the wrestling category. Speaking of, Tyler, we got to talk wrestling. It was a big week for WWE. We didn't get 3 TV shows this week. We got 4. One of them was last night for us as we record this on Sunday. I don't know if you caught it yet. I know you had a busy night. You were at the Nativity viewing, which I know was a gift. When you asked me that question, by the way, kind of, my gift to me was taking my family who didn't want to go to Raw to Raw.
That was.
See,
I was wondering if my question made sense.
My Christmas gift.
I was there for that.
Yes. I invited people to go. My gift was their presence.
Right. Exactly.
So my gift was really, I'm going to play with these earplugs and poke you the whole time and ask if it's almost over. That was my gift.
Yeah.
But we got the yeet hat out of it. So
you did.
We're thriving.
Yes, we absolutely are. Yeah, you laid it out perfectly, Brad. So WWE, admittedly, I have watched, I would say about 3/4 of the show as of this recording. So this is, again, where I lean on the best tag partner in the business. But rest assured, I caught the highlights on social media. I know the outcomes of every match, and I have prepared a question for you. So as you laid out, WWE Saturday night's main event returned to NBC primetime over the weekend. Now, Chelsea Green defeated Michin to become the inaugural Women's United States champion, and Cody Rhodes defeated Kevin Owens to retain his undisputed title. After the show went off the air, Owens brutally attacked Rhodes in the ring and took the Winged Eagle belt. Brad, there were lots of anticipation for this show. Lots of anticipation, lots of predictions. There's a lot of chatter. Definitely kind of scratch that nostalgic itch for wrestling fans worldwide. My question is pretty straightforward. What stood out to you most?
Well, it's hard to ignore Jesse the Body Ventura returning after 40 years. He made sure everybody knew it by looking away from the camera and shouting it into the ether. Was it a strong performance by him? Not really. Was it a classic Ventura performance? Yes. It made me feel so good to have him just be the absolute most heel of a commentator, always siding with the bad guys. He reminded me that that Nigel often gives me those vibes. He's the closest Jesse the Body Ventura kind of type, I think, in commentary. Corey Graves has done that for years, but he always tries to find the middle ground. Jesse Ventura never finds the middle ground. I thought it was a lot of fun, referring to Damien on his shoulders as his snakeskin jacket is like, that's just, Jake's snake. But I don't know how that goes over. All I could think about was, what are the other older nostalgic things they can do? Are they going to bring back takeovers? Are they going to bring back in your house again? Because a lot of the takeovers were in your house events, and they haven't really been calling them takeovers. They've just been doing events. So I don't think takeover is anywhere but even at all close to nostalgic at this point. But I think if they did another in your house and leaned into the aesthetic from the Shawn Michaels betrayal, that pastel house all of that stuff. I think they could start doing things like that. That could be really cool. Do they do a Night of Champions? Do they do, or not Night of Champions? What was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was, but it was the one where Savage fought Steamboat in the tournament, and it was like an all day long tournament, and the tournament started. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway,
well, they brought back Bad Blood earlier this year.
Right. I'm thinking earlier. Bad Blood was what, 97, 98?
Yeah, 90s for sure.
Yeah. And then the Elimination Chamber became its own event instead of being a match. That's what I hate about Elimination Chamber and Hell in a Cell. Elimination Chamber less so, but like Hell in a Cell should not be its own event. It should never be its own event. It should be like, we're going to pull that match type out when we want to see somebody end this feud and end someone's life. That's when you should do Hell in a Cell, not like just to do it. Bugs me. That being said, for this particular show, Tyler, I loved it. The music, the vibe, it felt like a big Saturday night fight. It felt the way Collision did at its outset, with the music and like, this is a big deal and this feels like a throwback, because that's absolutely what Collision was a throwback. Unfortunately now it's just on and is going up against Saturday night's, plural, main event, or I guess not plural, possessive. And it's on NBC, not USA, not Fox. No knock on Fox, but Fox is not CBS, ABC, NBC, the big three from forever ago. Arguably it's the fourth biggest one, but man, how do you compete with that when it's simultaneously streaming on Peacock? It's on NBC. People can get it anywhere, and we have carryover. I thought it was a great way to get casuals invested by showing the old school intro, by playing that music with mono audio, and then having it go into the new school stuff and hitting it with like it sounded awesome in my living room, and with the new graphics and introducing people to new things. What stood out to me was how willing they were to lean all the way into that nostalgia and really bring back the stuff that felt like old school WWF, including the giant old WWF logo from the 80s, the Hogan logo, with that logo up there, and the music and the venue, Jesse Ventura making it feel like a little bit different than the normal shows, having big guests. Pat McAfee coming out on NBC is a big deal. People watch Sunday Night Football on that network. People watch college football, and people watch other sports, and people watch the Olympics. And then suddenly you have a recognizable face coming out in your programming, and you're like, oh, cool. They have all these stars that are here. And they made sure to reference John Cena a bunch and The Rock a bunch, and really remind fans that this is this huge star making experience. So maybe the casuals that forgot will be more likely to tune in on Monday and Friday, and then ultimately tune in on Netflix when they already have the subscription. So really cool night, man. I want to say what stood out to me was anything other than Jesse Ventura and just the general aesthetic of the show, but it wasn't, outside of how invested the crowd was in that Chelsea Green win. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, well said. Two items, or kind of two aspects of the show that stood out to me. Number one, how successful WWE is right now in terms of their roster development and the storylines and the star power. The fact that this show did not require the presence of the Bloodline. Granted, Sami Zayn, lost to Drew McIntyre, but
sure,
no real Bloodline element to this. No CM Punk required, and yet you still had quite the house. Hot crowd, thousands of fans in attendance. I don't know what exactly the rating they did was, Brad, but obviously people were talking about it all over the timeline. Not only did people, I did this, but not only did people just set the DVR, I'm going to watch this, or I'm going to go to Peacock later. To your point, Brad, you had to tune in because it was giving that Saturday night big fight aesthetic, which fight fans we really play into. We have for generations. So that's number one. Just they've reached this level of success in the company right now, where they can choose which stars they want to showcase for these 5-match cards, and it's still going to do incredibly well. Secondly, I'm so glad you mentioned her. I'm going to pick up where you left off. Second point, final point, Chelsea Green. Big love to Michin as well. I would have been happy had either woman won this match. I have a feeling Michin is going to be a champion at some point in 2025. She's been putting in the work. I thought she had an incredible 2024, and she has earned the right to hold gold. Maybe, in fact, she'll be the person to dethrone Chelsea at some point next year. But in the meantime, flowers to Chelsea Green. Brad, when we just think about it from just a sheer human standpoint, the fact that Chelsea Green was released from WWE, she came back, she was in NXT, it looked like she had a promising tag team situation with Deonna Purrazzo, but then ostensibly she was just shelved in NXT, not due to injury, not due to any reason that we know of or that's been reported. Her and Deonna just weren't utilized for a long time. Right.
After her second injury, right? Like she got hurt.
There were injuries, certainly. Yeah.
And then she was healthy, and then she just wasn't used.
She gained momentum. Then there were injuries, and then in NXT. And then, of course, we're skipping the fact that she went on the independent scene, really built up her name, came back. Like the fact that she's been through so much in her career. And I would imagine at various points, Brad, it would have been easy. It would have been sensical even just throw in the towel and say, you know what, I gave this a shot. I've gained some notoriety, but maybe I should hang it up. Maybe I should pursue something else. The fact that I'm a sucker for these stories, Brad. The fact that she did not, and she kept going, kept putting in the work, stayed consistent. And here we are now after a storied career. She is holding singles gold in WWE. It's so inspiring. Huge look for Chelsea Green. I'm so happy that she's ending the year as a champ. That was my second takeaway as well. What an amazing human story of persistence and just working your craft and becoming great at it.
Yeah, it's really remarkable because we've been following her journey for so long, and I'm happy because I think she got hurt. Correct me if I'm wrong here. She was hurt, and then her second injury, I believe, was off a dive to the outside.
Wasn't it that SmackDown?
She broke her. It wasn't SmackDown. It was NXT.
No.
Okay. I thought, and maybe I'm wrong here, but she broke her wrist on the landing, and then it put her out. And then not long after that, they did all of the releases. I believe you could go back to our very long time ago episode entitled "Budget Cuts, Pal." I believe the first one.
Get out of here.
Yes.
I forgot that we covered that.
Yeah. It's been a minute. So,
oh my goodness.
Wow. Yeah, I was looking at all of our episodes, trying to figure some things out recently. And I saw Budget Cuts, Pal in there, and the Friday Night Wars Begin. So lots of different things that are out there, but I just remember her being hurt and then her being cut, making no sense before she went back out onto the independents. Did some stuff with TNA, but mostly hung out with her husband, Matt Cardona, around that same time. I don't even think they were married at that point. I think they were still engaged. So lots of life things have happened to Chelsea Green since she left NXT and then was re-signed once Triple H was in charge, which was indisputably the best thing to ever happen to WWE outside of the Attitude Era. I can't think of anything else that, business-wise, it's on fire right now.
And Brett, if I can insert here too, we know that there's been this, I don't know if I want to call it a juxtaposition or just flat out hypocrisy, but for decades, when women hit their 30s in wrestling, there's been this prevailing thought that, okay, well, they're on the back end of their career. Yeah. How many more opportunities are they going to have? We know with the previous WWE regime, it was reported that was a part of the sort of talent evaluation scouting, is if there's a woman who's in her 30s, I don't know if we're really going to push her versus, for men, you could, some of these guys were in their, mid to late 40s and are still headlining cards. The fact that, yeah. And as they should, they're amazing. But women for a long time haven't been given those same opportunities, particularly women who have been veterans of the industry. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to insert, Brad, to your point. It's just been incredible that she's overcame injuries and overcame seemingly a lack of opportunity to kind of break through that glass ceiling and get to that next championship tier. and she's done that, man. This was just so well thought out that they would introduce this title officially in terms of the crowning of it at this particular show. And frankly, I don't know about you, B, it was probably the match I was looking forward to most. I was really invested in Owens versus Rhodes, but this was the one, Green Meechin, that I really wanted to check out. Even if I had to check it out, not in a live situation, I had to watch on the DVR. I still highly enjoyed it.
I was not all that invested in the KO Cody Rhodes match. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought it was, I just thought it was weird. Like, I understand why it happens. The story makes complete sense. It just, the timing of it all was just wonky, because it was like, well, Cody's doing bloodline stuff, but the feud started before the bloodline war game stuff. And then we're just going to table our fight for later until after our other event. It didn't make any sense. It's like, why wouldn't Cody and KO be punching themselves, during Survivor Series? Because we have this other thing we got to do over here that's going to need a rating. So it just felt weird. It felt kind of forced. The placement of it, the story itself, fine. But when you break it up with other stuff, it just starts feeling like I care less. AEW does that all the time too. And it takes me out of it a lot, where it's like, all right, well, this person's feuding, injuries and illness and all that stuff. But I think about how we never got the payoff to Keith Lee and Swerve. It's just because they kept putting stuff in the middle of it. I'm not saying they did that here. We actually got a match, but this is clearly going to be a rematch situation. They made that incredibly clear because they both cheated to win. So it's going to happen again. And whatever, I wasn't really looking forward to that one as much as I was, Chelsea Green and Meechin, both of them having, been let go, going back to the indies to build themselves up. And now they're fighting for the first ever US title on one of the biggest shows of the year for WWE is incredible. So hard to understate how important that match was for both those women, given the audience and the spot. Because even Piper Niven, we have
right.
These three people were basically like, we don't really need any of this. And now they're up here in the biggest spots. I feel so good for all three of those women. I know Piper wasn't in the match, but Piper was in the match. Piper probably took the worst bump out of anybody off the apron when she got knocked off toward the end of the match.
Yeah.
Like, oof, that looked painful.
Shout out to Meechin also for the Virginia Union outfit coming out,
yes.
the jacket. I completely forgot.
Yes.
That's a part of her resume, is that she went there. She was a student athlete. I would argue, Brad, the two most famous Virginia Union alum, Meechin and Big Ben Wallace. Detroit Pistons. Detroit Pistons fame. We love this. We love this for you. We love this for us. That was great. Meechin is just, I kind of actually wanted her to win this match, but also Chelsea Green is there and has had an amazing 2024. I just love that both of them are thriving to end the year. They're big time. Vets who have put in the work and are now in positions that they've worked incredibly hard for.
I'm with you. I think I wanted Meechin to win, but it was, it's really hard to look at it. If you're a creative person, if you're running creative, and Chelsea's a heel, but Chelsea's not a heel. Piper's a heel. And Chelsea's with Piper, but Chelsea's not a heel. She's doing heel stuff.
I think they're going to feud at some point.
100%.
I think Piper's going to turn on her.
100%. Yeah. We're getting babyface Chelsea Green soon.
For sure. Yep.
Because she's already a babyface.
Yeah.
And she was fighting a babyface. And I wonder if it was like, let's see how the crowd reacts, and then we'll go from there. I doubt that that's what happened. I'm sure they had the finish before they walked out there, but who knows? Maybe it was an audible. Maybe it was like, well, listen to the crowd. They're booing Meechin right now, and they like her. That you got to give it. You have to put it on Chelsea at that point. You got to give the crowd what they want, because we weren't going to get any other title changes. So no matter what, somebody wins the first one ever at this event, but Gunther's not losing. Even though it was totally possible for Gunther to lose. As soon as the match got made, I was like, all right, so Finn's going to get pinned by Gunther. It's all I could think. And then I was like, all right, well, that's what happened. What I also thought was cool was that the world was introduced to Gunther. I'm about to say that again, Tyler. Okay, we got the Winged Eagle belt on Cody Rhodes. We saw Chelsea Green crown the first ever women's US champ. the world was introduced to Gunther, the perfect wrestler to have on a throwback card. Jesse the Body Ventura was on commentary and started the show by talking about himself and looking away from the camera. Saturday night's main event was a blast. However, I want to talk about the post-show angle. KO went full Kevin Steen and gave Cody a package pile driver before walking down the ramp with the title. He was then shoved around by Triple H. I don't know if you caught that part. Obviously, Trips isn't going to wrestle KO. So a few questions here. What do you think of this angle? Where does it go from here? And how much do you like the off-camera find out on social media angles as much as I do?
Interesting way to phrase that. I do. I definitely do. They've also, this is something WWE, they pronouns pal, WWE has really done a great job of this year, super savvy, to have these angles following the show. I'm thinking even back to Survivor Series 2023, CM Punk returns in Chicago, and then following the show, there's Seth. Oh, we got to pull Seth away because he loathes this guy, and they didn't tell him CM Punk was going to be here. So WWE has done this time and time again, and it's proven to create that buzz following shows and just creates more interest and investment in the product. So yes, to your last question, where is this going? I saw Kevin Owens on Twitter post a black and white photo of him and Triple H, because let's not forget, within the decade, Triple H chose him, back when Triple H was still part of the Authority angle, he selected Kevin Owens to be his champion on Monday nights.
Right.
So, and obviously they have the NXT history. So there's a clear history between these two on-screen characters. Where is it going? Yeah, like you, I don't foresee Triple H stepping in the ring again. We know he's had documented, health concerns, health concerns. So I don't really have any interest in seeing him risk any of that for our entertainment. But certainly what you said, a rematch between Cody and Kevin seemingly would be on the table at this point. I just don't foresee Triple H stepping in the ring. Maybe he'll hit Kevin Owens with a pedigree. I'll give it that. But a one-on-one match at Rumble or Mania or, a future Saturday night's main event, I don't think that's in the cards for the Cerebral Assassin. So where's this leading to? I agree with you. Rematch. Maybe Triple H gets physical with Owens, but I certainly hope we don't see Paul Levesque take an apron power bomb spot. Like I don't need that. I want him to be healthy. So I agree with the rematch, but maybe Triple H, but also he's an authority figure, and that I don't know. We're kind of blurring those lines of authority figure getting physical with a talent member. I just don't know that WWE really needs that right now. What say you?
I'm looking at the next pay-per-view, and the next one is New Year's Evil, and PLE. After that,
we have for NXT. Saturday. Yeah, NXT. Yeah, Obafemi, Trick Williams, Julia Roxanne Perez. I'm going to tune in for that one.
And then we have another Saturday night's main event. So the Royal Rumble is the next one. And then we have Vengeance after that. Not long after that.
Oh, Vengeance. Interesting. Okay.
It's another NXT
title.
Vengeance.
Oh, yeah. Of course it is. Thank you. Of course it is. I don't think Triple H is lacing up the boots to.
No, and then Elimination Chamber is in March. So the next actual PLE we have is February 1st in the Royal Rumble. And in between now and then, we have Saturday night's main event again, which means that anything that happens here has to happen. Excuse me. Either on Saturday night's main event or on one of the regular shows. My guess is that whatever comes of this is going to be on neither of those things. It's going to be the first Netflix episode. So that's going to be one of their biggest nights ever, arguably. And whether or not they do it on SmackDown or Netflix, it makes more sense on Netflix where ratings aren't as much of a problem. I can see Triple H saying something like, well, first of all, I love the angles on social. I love it. It extends the show. It gives people to something to chew on. It forces you to have engagement. I think that's super cool. Number two, where does it go? What do I think? I like the angle now. I didn't like the angle going in. I like the story going in. I just hated, like I said, the timing. And I think this could be really good. Maybe Cody's down and out for a little while. Maybe he's not. Maybe it's just like, no, he beat you and it's over. And maybe Triple H is so pissed off at Kevin Owens that he suspends him for the next couple of weeks and then says, when you get back, I'm giving Randy Orton his wish. Hell in a Cell, you and Randy Orton, anything goes. And then you finally get Randy back in there and he beats the ever living piss out of Kevin Owens because he wants revenge. So who knows what'll happen there? I don't know what'll happen there. Where did he give Randy the pile driver on TV or was it on social?
I believe that was on TV.
I think so. Yeah. Because this one was specifically not. So I was thinking about that. Is this they don't want to broadcast this stuff because it's outlawed, it's illegal, or is it something else? Because I don't know if that's a part of the safety protocols or if it was just a Vince doesn't want to lose a Stone Cold again to something like a pile driver, which seems like an unnecessary move for them. You know, thinking about AEW, how you see about 15 of those every
I was going to say,
night.
Yeah.
Where they're like, whatever.
with Penta. And then
yes.
Well, I guess that's one of his finishers, but we've seen people kick out of it.
Well, I mean, like Moxley's been using Gotch style pile drivers for a while. And
he has. Speaking of people who take out members of the roster. Yes, he has.
Yes. And Toni Storm's finisher is the fastest pile driver in the universe, that Storm Zero. So there's a lot of things there to look into, but I really like the angle. I hope it leads to Randy coming back to like the Evolution music as Triple H walks out and says, you're going to be fighting somebody else and it's going to be Randy. But if they do that, you know what else that means. And I don't know that anybody wants to see Ric Flair. And I don't think Batista's coming back now that he lost about 80 pounds. So he looks great, by the way, super healthy and super happy for him. But I don't know that people are ready to see thin Dave Batista on a WWE TV show.
Yeah. And the roster's in a position where, unlike years past, you're not necessarily needing those big names from yesteryear. You already have stars on top of stars with your currently signed talent. So, you know, I'm sure we'll get some of that integration in WrestleMania. We'll have a celebrity match or, you know, we'll get a veteran coming back. But I don't know that the roster has been in a healthier position since I've started watching WWE. Again, Brad, there's the aforementioned, of course, Cody Rhodes, the Bloodline, CM Punk. Speaking of Netflix on Raw, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. The women's division is incredible. Like they're just, for all the reasons you said and more, WWE is poised for another year, another tremendous year in 2025 from a business standpoint and from a storyline standpoint. Like business wouldn't be booming if people weren't invested in these matches and these events. And they keep churning them out. There's NXT, which is on fire. Then there's Saturday Night's Main Event, and then they're clearly in their bag in that regard.
Does Kevin Owens team with Drew McIntyre? It feels inevitable. It feels inevitable at this point.
I sure hope so. That would be the babyface team I want to root for. Neither of these guys are wrong.
Exactly. They both are totally in the right with
you know where I stand on that with Drew versus Punk.
You're right. You're completely right.
Kevin's not wrong, and Drew has never been wrong.
So when Drew and Kevin Owens want to go kick Solo's head off, are you going to be in the stands?
Like I was.
I don't know.
Like I was
acknowledging him.
Yeah. I probably will, but that's because I'm an and I've embraced that. Yes.
Consistency is important. Tyler, speaking of consistency, you know what's consistent? 19 Media Group churning out all kinds of great content. 3 shows nominated for Sports Podcast Awards. Let's check in on the state of 19 Media. Play the music.
Late breaking news from the world of 19 Media.
Jessica and Carmen debuted their new show, A Prude Awakening, earlier in the fall. Check out their 3 episodes to learn topics ranging from discussing woke culture to why veterans face homelessness in the United States. Be on the lookout for new episodes of Prude Awakening and their sister show, Small Town USA, later this week. You can follow Jess at Jess Stamou, JESTAMOU, and Carmen at Carmen J. McDonald.
Yeah, shout out to both of those ladies. Also, another shout out to Desmond of Hip to the Games. He dropped a new episode. In fact, he welcomed recording artist Adrian Rose to discuss Rose's new album, All Caps. You can follow Desmond's show at Hip to the Games. That's the number 2, DAGAMES. I don't know why I spelled out games. Our listeners know how to spell this, Brad. But check out Des. He does incredible work. Friend of the show, as you know, and very, very proud of him.
Well, the is spelled DA, so games could have had a Z on there.
That's very true.
But I would say that only if the person running that show looked like me. Warren hosts dope interviews, welcoming guests from Hollywood, the hardwood, and more. In case you missed it, he sat with Anita Moreau, the founder and CEO of Black Travel Summit, to learn about her career and travel experiences. Tune in and follow the show at dope underscore interviews. This is why we're nominated. It's our quality work here.
That it is. Callan Warren dropped a new installment of the Baseline NBA podcast. They discuss this year's rookie class and predict future trades. Got to tune in. You can follow them at NBA Baseline.
And a reminder, Baseline and Hip to the Games, both nominees for Sports Podcast Awards in the basketball category. Gerald of Heavy in the Paint welcomed baseball reporter Ricky Keeley to discuss Juan Soto's signing with the New York Mets, which I know Tyler's super excited about. You can follow Gerald at GeraldBLSS.
Juan who? Late Night Lake Show is in full swing. Join Ricky and Kwame as they discuss the latest news surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. You can follow them at Late Night Lakers.
Mo and Mike are on fire at Hidden Gems Football, releasing new weekly episodes ahead of NFL action. Mike also released a new episode of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Stepp, reacting to the Juan Soto deal and the misfortunes of his New York Jets. They won last week, though, didn't they? Oh, wait, no, they threw it away. Pretty sure they were winning and threw it away. I can't remember. I know Aaron Rodgers threw 300 yards. I don't remember if they got.
I think they lost. Yeah, no. I think that was the gimmick. Was he had?
They were way up, but
they lost. Right?
Lost.
They were up on Jacksonville. I'll check
that's right.
Score.
That's right.
A game's probably over by now as of this recording.
I haven't seen it yet either. Follow them at Mike Steffens _ and at A Power Mojo. I'll filibuster here. Yeah.
Maybe misfortunes no more. I can officially report, Brad Winchester, the New York Jets defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars by a score of 32-25.
Wow. A Lawrence-less Jaguar team goes down. That is shocking.
I'm sure Mike will take great joy in beating the Shad Khan owned Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm sure there's a promo. I'm sure there's maybe the vibes are immaculate. Maybe the vibes.
How close was the score?
It was only 7 points.
Oh, he's going to be so mad. He is not going to be that win is actually a loss. He's going to be upset. But carry on.
The only way to find out is to tune in and check out the Salty Thoughts stuff, as well as check out Hidden Gems Football. The guys are doing great work over there, releasing, as you said, Brad, weekly episodes, plural, ahead of NFL action, and excited to see what they do in the new year. And then finally, Jabari Davis is back with the network. Check out the Mixed Company podcast hosted by Jameson and Classy. Jabari produces the show, and the guys discuss the latest happenings in boxing and the fight game in general. Follow them at Mixed Co Podcast.
I thought you were going to, the way that you framed it, I thought you were going to say they were talking about the ladies. I was confused, excited, intrigued, but confused. Tyler, we also have a whole other giant wrestling company to talk about. So let's dive into AEW.
That we do. The AEW Worlds End card is coming together. As of this recording, 4 matches have been announced, including Mariah May defending her Women's World Championship versus Thunder Rosa in a Tijuana street fight, and Konosuke Takeshita versus Powerhouse Hobbs for the international title. However, Brad, for the first time in company history, I think, a fatal 4-way match for the AEW World Championship will main event a pay-per-view as Jon Moxley takes on Jay White, Hangman Page, and Orange Cassidy. Let's assume Darby Allin isn't the guy to dethrone Mox. Not saying it has to be one of the 3 aforementioned challengers, but who would you like to see be the next world champ?
picking anybody here, right?
Anybody that's currently signed to AEW.
Okay. So not Penta. Let's see. Oh man, that's tough.
In your fantasy booking, does Ricky Starks come in and save AEW?
No, I think it's done. No. Like it just seems like it's done.
It makes me sad.
Tony Khan was signing some signs. It looked like it was either Dynamite or something else. Collision last week, whatever. He was out signing some signs in the crowd, and one of the signs was like, "We want Ricky Starks," and he said, "No, he's going to sign it on the back. He doesn't want it on the front." And he alluded to something about him, like, well, we asked him. So I can't remember what the exact words were, but it sounded like the feelers are put out there. At least that's what Tony Khan told the fan that he might have not known was recording. So who knows what's going on over there? I just feel like Ricky's like, I'm healthy and I can go at any point. And Tony's like, well, we've asked. Somebody in here is not telling the truth, and I don't know who. I just want to see Ricky Starks. And if they're both lying about stuff, then this is never going to happen.
And let's not forget, Brad, you got Chris Jericho popping up at the GCW show over the weekend, taking out Matt Cardona, who's challenging him at the ROH show this weekend, as well as Effie. So perhaps if there was a hatchet, it's been buried, and there isn't ill will, it's all so messy. And usually, I can be a little messy, Brad. I'm here for the mess sometimes, but we would like Ricky Starks back. We would want him back. But it's interesting.
I just want to see him.
Right. It's wild that I know we shared this, I think, on air recently. It's wild that we saw one of his last matches for AEW. Like at some point, I feel privileged that we had that opportunity, but that was back in February.
Right,
bro. February.
Yeah.
How's that possible? But please continue. I'm gonna let you cook.
I also saw Danhausen face paint in the crowd and Collision near the entrance ramp. And I don't need to always or ever see him wrestle. I think he'd be a perfect fit for ROH, and then have him on the TV as a manager or something for the main shows. Guy sells merch. He's entertaining as hell. How do you not want him on your roster? He's just fun. And he works great with like what AEW is. I don't think he works in WWE, but he works great in AEW. Maybe NXT.
You remember when he was inserted into that Orange Cassidy Adam Cole feud?
One of my favorite things
a couple of years ago. I don't remember the exact spot.
His debut. It was his debut in AEW. Was Adam Cole going to get a chair, pulling out a chair, but it was just Danhausen.
I think that was. I was going to say Spring Breakin'. That's not right. That's an NXT property. I think that was Beach Break. That's named after Orange Cassidy's move. Yeah, and Danhausen popped up, and it was
cursed him. And
hilarious.
The crowd's going nuts. It's so stupid. And it's wonderful.
It's not as if you haven't seen him work on TV. Now, granted, that's a debut. You have to do more than that, right? The first time he pops up, of course, that's going to be the biggest reaction. But you've seen that formula where the crowd finds him entertaining. And to your point, Brad, he moves merch. So it's another case of what are we missing? What's not being shared? You would hope that in this year we're living in of 2024 as of this recording, people can make up, especially when it makes business sense. We certainly have seen that in other companies, and I would hope that that same logic can be applied to these two great AEW wrestlers we love.
You have to get along with your coworkers and stuff.
We've been saying that for months.
Right. And you have to have good rapport, especially if they're going to carry the title and be sort of the face of the company. But man, I don't know. I'm going to say Switchblade Jay White makes a lot of sense to me. Like he hasn't held the title in AEW. He would be a great ambassador. He's an incredible promo. He's an incredible in-ring person. I know one of the Guns is injured right now, but right now it'd be kind of fun to see just Jay White on his own in AEW because the Guns are out. Juice is hurt again. Hopefully all of those people end up, peeling up and having a speedy recovery because they're all awesome. But he's kind of out of Bullet Club Gold members. He's just sort of Switchblade Jay White at the end. And I think he would be a really interesting champion at this time where he's sort of he's just sort of weaselly. Like you don't trust him. You just feel like he's going to do something nefarious, even if he's a babyface. And I think that would be a really interesting dynamic with the rest of the roster. And the guy can go. So I think that would be really cool. Out if it's not going to be Darby. Otherwise, I'm going to say Moxley retains. And I just don't see another new champion for a while.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Rest assured, I agree with you in terms of Moxley leaving. I believe it's going to be in Orlando for Worlds End at the UCF arena. I for sure think Mox is leaving 2025 still as champ. Heading into next year, though, if not Darby, I would really love a returning Kenny Omega to hold that title again. I saw this on social. I forget the exact account who made this comparison, but it really resonated with me that particularly in the early years of AEW, Kenny Omega was AEW's Roman Reigns.
Yep.
In terms of the draw, the aura, the guy. And so for him to return and beat Mox, a guy he has history with, and really Kenny cementing his spot as no, I am. I know this word gets thrown out a lot, but I'm the ace of AEW. Like I am that guy. I'm the best here. That would really, I think fans would really buy into that. I don't know if that's maybe an all-in Texas situation, but Kenny Omega being champ once again, but this time not as the slimy champ who's in cahoots with Don Callis, belt collector Kenny, but returning hero ace. And I know Mox calls himself ace, but maybe that could be a big part of their feud. I'm just throwing it out there. Kenny Omega being champ, that is what I would absolutely love to see, especially if he beat Mox to hold gold again.
I had to look some stuff up here to figure it out, but I also think that I don't think it would be a championship situation, but the 4-way goes down, bodies everywhere. Let's just assume that the Death Riders are all beat up from earlier in the evening, or the rest of the crowd comes out. Christian Cage tries to cash in, but gets interrupted by a returning Edge, and Edge wants to fight Jon Moxley because I didn't know that this from 2019. It says here, so I don't know what's real here. I know that Edge fought Seth Rollins at one point, but it looks like Edge and the Usos teamed up against the Shield at some point. It might be AI bullshit, but I'm not sure without looking, because I was like, I feel like they didn't overlap because Edge left, and then I think the Shield happened afterwards. So I don't know if they have any history, because an Edge Moxley fight would be a lot of fun. Like Adam Copeland versus Jon Moxley could be a great match, and I don't know that we've ever seen that before. And that would be a really great one to have, maybe as an in between. Or maybe you have Edge win. Maybe you have Adam Copeland win, and then Christian Cage cashes in on Adam Copeland, which would make sense. And then Adam Copeland loses again because he can't retain championship belts against Kenny Omega. So my question for you, Tyler. Dynamite saw the return of Toni Storm as Toni Storm. Kind of. Because Collision saw what appears to be either Timeless Toni Storm playing Toni Storm, or Timeless Toni's trauma was so bad that she's now reverted to an earlier stage of her gimmick. No idea. Here's what I want you to do here. You can only pick one. It's unrelated to Toni Storm. I just wanted to get it in there. You can only pick one. Do you think World's End will crown a new AEW Men's Champion? Or do you think the Elite will return? You have to pick one, but you can only pick one.
And give me my options again.
A new AEW Men's World Champion.
Or the Elite return.
Or the Elite make a return.
Oh, it's got to be the latter. I just don't see a world in which because even though I don't exactly know what the Death Rider storyline is, and I would acknowledge that that's purposeful.
Sure.
It's so much of it is rooted in Mox having the championship we haven't seen since he won it, right? What's in the briefcase thing? We don't know. There's no way that he loses the title already, because if he loses the title, who are the Death Riders? What power do they hold?
Exactly.
The Elite returning, and truly the Elite being the Young Bucks and a returning Kenny Omega, as I alluded to, that would make a ton of sense. And any hesitations that we have about the Death Rider storyline, which I don't believe is exclusive to you and I, Brad, from people we know and we interact with, and just monitoring the conversation online, seems like a lot of people are lukewarm on this. If the Elite come back to save AEW, I think that could be a real tangible way to generate some much needed excitement. So I'm going to go with the latter for sure. I don't know if I'm ready to predict that happening, but it would make a lot of sense for AEW to end the year with just putting some fire on a rather lukewarm top storyline. I'm going to go with the Elite returning. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's confusing because right now, like Matt and Nick Jackson, they just kind of left. They had like an amicable turnover of power. So they're not going to come back as Matthew and Nicholas, I don't think. I think they're going to play the old Young Bucks theme and just be the Young Bucks if Kenny comes back. But I can see all of them coming back. End of the show, World's End. Moxley and the Death Riders stand tall. And I don't know, there's a promo about how nobody here can stop us. We are all Elite Wrestling or something like that. And then as soon as they say Elite, the music kicks off. And it's got to be Kenny's music. It has to be. Like, it's the biggest pop. Like,
that's true.
They start playing Battle Cry.
I missed the Wayward Son song.
I mean, that would be dope.
That appeared on my YouTube recently.
If they do it as the Elite,
I love that.
It was perfect, and the lighting was perfect, and I think that makes the most sense. And also, that was right before suspensions.
Yeah, that's true.
They played that like twice, won the titles, and then were gone for a month.
Yeah. You know what? I'm good with Battle Cry.
Okay, that's why I was like, I don't know.
But it also has to make storyline sense because that makes storyline sense.
Right. The elite of all elite wrestling coming back. And
okay, hear me out though. So wasn't it earlier this year in which Jack Perry, the Young Bucks, and Kazuchika Okada took out Tony Khan? That was in 2024. Yes. And also in this year, they took out Kenny Omega. So there would have to be...
They kicked him out.
Yeah. There would have to be...
And Hangman got kind of kicked out, welcome back in, and Hangman told him to go bleed themselves.
I just...
No, everybody's doing their own thing, right? Like, that's the point of the Death Riders.
And exactly. And the Death Riders are essentially the focus for marketing for World's End. The video hyping up the pay-per-view, it's them driving in the truck, and
it's like less interesting NWO stuff happening.
yeah the show is built around in the image of the Death Riders. As much as I would love, I'm glad we're talking this through, as much as I would love the return of the Elite to combat this hostile takeover, which I think actually is the way they're going to do it, I would just need the storyline to make sense of, okay, how did we get Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks back together? Because the Young Bucks were despicable heels who took out Kenny, who took out Tony Khan, and now they're back to join forces and to save it. I would need us to make that make sense for storyline purposes. Why would Kenny Omega welcome that? Is it because he knows he needs help? Is he willing to look past the treasonous actions of the Bucks? Do the Bucks see the error of their ways?
Well, let me ask you this: what's the storyline for Kazuchika Okada still being there?
Right. Yeah.
He's just sort of there, right? Yeah, by himself.
Yeah,
They have a lot of holes here, and
there are a lot of holes,
and it's like, well, how they're doing all of these things, but MVP seems to be going like, well, that's fine. I'm still going to recruit people for my little side project. And nobody seems to acknowledge that, like, there's a terrorist group. Like, there's a terrorist group. Our world champion is a terrorist, and they are terrorizing with terror the entire AEW locker room with terror. And we're over here going like, that's cool. Do you want to be in my club? Meanwhile, you got Leo Rush and Action Andretti coming out in puffy spike jackets for some reason.
I actually do enjoy that.
I like it too.
Can I confess? That entrance was fire.
It was a cool entrance. That entrance is way cooler with the lights off. Once the lights came on and you could see like that they were in like just puffy jackets, I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be cool Road Warrior stuff. And instead it's just that. It's like you got like the 90s starter jackets and filled them with spiky puff. And that's it. It made them ugly color. And that's not black, not brown, somewhere in between those two things. Dirt colored.
You're into as much as I am. That's my.
But the silhouette looked rad. Them squatting down.
Yeah, it did.
That was a next level hip hop album cover. And then they turn the lights on and you go,
yeah. Oh, it's given like some Missy Elliott 90s.
Yeah, Missy Elliott, who strikes fear into their opponents.
as
Listen,
yes.
man.
Maybe a
No.
Missy Elliott crossover. Maybe she'll
You play the
pop
music.
up. AEW's
Okay.
always embraced hip hop, which is something
I would
we
love,
enjoy. With
actually, now that you're
WWE
saying
is
that, now I'm on board. If we get Missy out of this, go
that
ahead and
would
spike
be
it up all you want.
that would
Because
be
I like
incredible.
both of these dudes.
If we can get Bow Wow on AEW TV,
Let me recant. Okay. Here's why.
give me Missy.
No, forget all that. Yes, but no. Action Andretti finally has something to do. That's not the
Yes.
same Action Andretti stuff.
TV
Leo's
for
evolved
sure.
so many different times throughout just his
Yeah.
tenure in AEW that I think this looks promising, and it forced Action Andretti to change. It is something different.
You remember when Leo was the like shady pseudo crypto
That's
guy
right. That's
for a
right.
minute?
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
fun.
yeah. I mean, maybe the answer is timeless Tony. Maybe she comes out. Maybe she takes out Marina Shafir, but it seems like she's going to end up going for Mariah May. I just love that Toni Storm is back. I wonder, Brad, perhaps before we leave our AEW conversation,
It'd be great if it was Athena.
oh gosh, yeah, please, long overdue. For Toni Storm, it would appear to me that we are going to get timeless Tony back, particularly what we saw in Collision. It seems like, oh no, this is, as you pointed out, timeless Tony playing Rockstar Tony. Do you think that was always the plan, or did Tony and creative get wind of what the conversation was online when Rockstar Tony came out following Mariah May versus Mina Shirakawa and saw, okay, overwhelmingly the fan base is saying, no, we're glad Tony's back, but we really think there's more mileage to get out of timeless Tony. Do you think it was always a plan to go back to timeless, or
100%.
did maybe plans change in
100%.
48 hours?
100%.
That was always the move.
I think so. It's a little confusing if two things. It's a little confusing if it is. It's a little confusing if it's not, given that the last time we saw her wasn't on screen. It was her marketing as Timeless Tony in Australia, and then doing other promotions as Timeless Tony. So to her to come back as Rockstar Toni Storm doesn't really make any sense anyway. Only because Timeless Toni Storm was working. So I don't know why she would abandon it. I think she's having too much fun. I think this was always the move, because she can always go back to Rockstar Tony if she wants to. It rules. It's a great gimmick, but
Timeless Tony is different
perfect.
though. That's like,
it's perfect.
A generational wrestling character.
Yes, it's one of the greatest wrestling characters of all time, in my opinion.
It's great
character wise, and she's an unbelievable wrestler and in-ring talent. Right. It's just what you can't like. If Stone Cold Steve Austin said Stone Cold's retired and he came back as Stunning Steve, there was nothing wrong with Stunning Steve.
Oh, we're happy to see him, but that's not
Hollywood Blondes. That's cool, but but you got Stone Cold sitting right there. Like, you could have been Stone Cold and you went to Stunning Steve. And I think that's just a case of like, yeah, that worked. It was great. It's still awesome. She could dust that off whenever she wants, but they're going to give us a storyline transition that's going to feed us forever to make us want Rockstar Tony to come back. If they decide to go that route, because I think it's crazy if they even had an inkling that Rockstar Tony should be the move to come back, because she didn't leave as a heel. So it's not like she's coming in as a babyface. She was already a babyface for that feud. So it wouldn't serve any purpose. So I think that was always the plan for her to come back like that.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's dope. I think it's going to be great. Tyler, I really wanted to do this week, but I didn't have time to get to it. I have a feeling we will next week. But let's get into it right now. I don't even know what this movie is. I have no expectations. I don't know what's going on here.
Perfect.
When I saw that, I was like, is that a movie title, or are you just saying like we're done and we're going to just carry on with our lives? But we have a GI at the movies, Carry On, which is a film, I guess. Tyler, take us away.
And now it's time for GI at the movies.
Yeah, gladly. This is a film that you and Jessica need to check out. I actually think you're going to love it, Brad, and I don't say that with a facetious bone in my body. Carry On is the title of Netflix's latest film. It just came out on Friday. You'll see it when you log in. And the film is based around the story of a young...
it's the plane thing, right?
This is Carry on, also known as the plane thing. Yes, yeah, that's exactly it. It follows a young TSA officer who's blackmailed into letting a mysterious package on board a flight during Christmas Eve. Now, some postscripts here for you, or not even postscript. These are just my notes. It stars Jason Bateman and Taron Egerton. Taron Egerton plays the young TSA officer. Jason Bateman plays this villainous figure, and I don't recall Bateman playing a heel in a movie that I've seen before. Certainly not one this vicious who is potentially threatening hundreds of lives at an airport. So
TV show, he's been a bad guy. Shades of Grey guy, but
Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Well, he is definitively a heel, definitively a villain in this film. Both of these leads did phenomenal. The cast was really well done. Theo Rossi even pops up as one of the henchmen for Jason Bateman, and
that tracks.
That tracks. I really enjoy Rossi's work. He's kind of like a super sniper dude. I won't share too many spoilers. Anyway, Brad, this is set at LAX's airport. So it's set in Los Angeles, but this was actually filmed in New Orleans at an airport, an old airport that's no longer being used. Apparently, it had a $47 million budget. Definitely giving Die Hard vibes. They really leaned in to the kind of the Die Hard aura, if you will. And I wrote down, although Ethan, our protagonist, again played by Egerton, the young TSA officer, although he isn't Rod from Get Out, another famous TSA officer character, that's a really high bar to try to be Rod from Get Out. But he is the TSA hero that we root for, that we needed to close out this year. The premise works so well, Brad. It's really very much an ordinary person placed in an extraordinary situation or circumstance. I think that formula is really time tested, particularly in the streaming era we're in. You don't have to go to the movie theater for this. Ordinary person, extraordinary circumstance, and not an extraordinary circumstance that's too far-fetched in the geopolitical times that we're in, again, without giving away too many spoilers. So the premise itself worked well. The execution, the cast, fantastic. There's lots of fun to be had. There's even work politics and trying to work your way up the corporate ladder. It's really one of the best Netflix films I've not only seen this year, but since I've had Netflix, Brad. Again, check it out. Wow. Really well done. Carry on. It is it's a really good movie. I enjoyed it.
I'm looking at it right now. Theo Rossi, did you ever watch Luke Cage?
Never.
I don't even know you, man. Theo Rossi plays Shades.
He's in that?
Yeah, he plays Shades. Okay. He's got a prominent character.
Good guy or bad guy?
He's a bad guy. He's a henchman. That's why I said that tracks. He's always the bad guy in the henchman. He's just got kind of this vibe where he wants to kill everybody. Because he sounds like that in everything he does.
He clearly prepared for Carry On then. Same exact vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's probably like the nicest guy in the world in real life. And
I'm sure he is.
He just gives off of the, I'll kill you, bury you somewhere vibes. I don't know. Egerton being in there though, that guy's had such an interesting career. He's done so many
I saw the Kingsman
things that are like, yep. Oh, there you go.
Do I recoup points for that? I saw the Kingsman in the movie theater.
Well, of course you did. That makes a lot of sense actually. I'm trying to see what else, because Egerton was in something else.
He played Elton John.
Oh yeah. But I think I'm mixing him up with somebody else in a TV show or perhaps Robin Hood. He was in Robin Hood. That's what it was. I couldn't remember if he was in Robin Hood, the film 2018 film Robin Hood, or Robin Hood the BBC Robin Hood, which was 3 seasons, and it's awesome if you can find it. Very different take on it, soul crushing, but it's really, really good. Really good cast. Okay, I'll check it out. I was gonna say already on Prime Video, Red One. So at some point,
it's on Prime already.
Already on Prime. I'll be watching Red One this week. Yeah, that's why I was like, "Ooh, I almost did one this week." But I thought, let's you and I watch it at some point this week. And
we got to review that for the show.
Yeah, we'll give the people what they want. Tyler, what did we miss?
This is a very wrestling centric. What did we miss? 2 points for you. Ashe had their 1-year anniversary show. Of course, this is Darius Lockhart's promotion based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Darius Carter was coronated. He ended up winning the men's championship tournament. They unveiled their men's championship in the weeks leading up to the show, and Darius Carter was coordinated. Really well done. And what I'm excited about for Ashe is that it's not just these fun cards, but they're building these storylines and having that synergy. So I think 2025 is going to be an incredible year for the company. They also announced that they'll be having a show in Las Vegas Mania weekend. They also announced that they'll have Ashe Wrestling TV next year, where there will be weekly episodic content on their YouTube channel. So shout out to Darius Lockhart. I know he was one of my winners of the year for 2023, and I have a feeling he's going to be on my list again because he's doing big things over there. Second note, Brad, I watched TNA Final Resolution.
You did
on
nice.
Friday, most of it, as it were. Tessa Blanchard is back in the company. I am actually not surprised at all. I think it was easy for me to say now, but I think all the signs were there that eventually, as we see in most sports and entertainment, Brad, our show is based around pro wrestling and pop culture. When enough time passes, people end up coming back. If they still have talent, if the idea is that they can still get people to tune in, they're going to be back. Reports started surfacing on Friday. I believe Fightful Select was one of the first, that Tessa Blanchard apparently was backstage and that she was going to be brought back into the company. And then what do you know, that night she attacks Jordan Grace. Ski Mask Jones reveals the ski mask. She's here, to a very polarizing reaction online. Fightful Select also reported that Jordan Grace was not keen on working with Tessa Blanchard. The thought being Tessa will go over Jordan Grace in this program, right, and then Jordan Grace is on the first flight to WWE headquarters.
Yes.
Come Royal Rumble time.
100%.
So I totally understand the idea of Tessa Blanchard. We need to fill the void that's going to be left by Jordan Grace leaving, probably Josh Alexander leaving. Speedball's already out. How do we replenish our roster? The thought is Tessa Blanchard. I want to get your opinion, Brad. I'm not sure how to feel about this, because we've had these conversations of living in this time where the artist, and has Tessa Blanchard grown? Right. She's made amends with La Rosa Negra. It's just, I want everyone to be happy and be successful. I also think what Tessa was, alleged to have done to La Rosa Negra, to other locker room,
essentially collapsing an entire company.
Yeah, just being a bully.
Yeah,
being racist. That's awful. I hope she's grown. I think what will be key for Tessa is not just proving that she is an in-ring talent, probably a future champion in TNA. Like we know she can go, but it's really, how does she treat people and what does she do with being given this platform again? And then the criticism of Tessa was that she wasn't very apologetic. When asked about the situation, she's been accused of not really addressing it, not taking ownership of any of her past mistakes. So I hope, as a longtime TNA fan, that she will tackle this head on and show through her words, but most importantly, her actions, that she has learned, she's grown, and that, this is going to be a new Tessa Blanchard in 2025. What say you? This really kind of came out of nowhere on Friday.
Yeah, totally. I had no idea this was coming. No idea. I don't know. Guess I haven't been paying that close attention to what Tessa Blanchard's been up to, because Tessa Blanchard. But yeah, this came out of nowhere. This was a surprise, total surprise. It makes me wonder what the TNA WWE work agreement is. And I know they're looking at more indies. I don't know if you can call TNA an indie at this point, but they're looking at indies and doing their developmental stuff. You have like Kylie Ray and some other people getting exposure, but they seem to be like the last 2 years or 3 years, whatever it was. That's why I wrote down Mickey James earlier, which is a different, more complicated scenario. But TNA champions can often be seen on NXT or even WWE programming, wrestling talent, but a lot of the TNA undercard doesn't. What happens when the people that the WWE are interested in aren't in TNA anymore because they're in the WWE? What happens with TNA? Is Tessa Blanchard somebody that can sustain that women's division as a lead talent? I don't know. Jordan Grace, yes. Tessa Blanchard, I don't know, because there's a lot of other talent, but I don't think Rosemary doesn't have that kind of cachet, and there's just other people that don't have the same kind of cachet that a Jordan Grace has.
It is about cachet because they have Masha Slamovich, who's the champ right now and doing great. There's Tasha
awesome.
Seals. There's there's talent, but like you said, Brad, it's about
Tons
the
of talent.
cachet,
Right?
And how do we fill the void of?
Because Josh Alexander has quite a bit.
Our seminal stars, Speedball,
Yes.
Josh Alexander, Jordan Gray, stars that we helped build in TNA are likely not going to be with the company by March.
Right.
How do we fill that void? How do we get people talking? Right. Tessa comes in, but is that going to be a sustainable business model? Yeah, we got 20,000 impressions, but 80% of it are people flaming us for doing this.
Exactly.
Even though Hulk Hogan is on the website,
you have new leadership. Like you do have new leadership over at TNA. I'm sure that's part of it.
Yeah.
If Scott was still in charge, I don't think that would have happened. I just on principle, and he listens to his talent. It's a different scenario now, and I don't know what it's like over there. And for all we know, again, maybe Tessa made amends with everybody. I know Moose was kind of defending it online, so which I was surprised by. So
yeah, Moose has some baggage too. It's
exactly, and that was like, all right. On the one hand,
I saw Red Velvet co-signed Tessa as well.
Exactly.
She's posted support for her,
and there's some particular attributes there that I'm like, okay, that carries a little bit more weight than others. But also Moose. But if Red Velvet's like, oh yeah, that's good. Either it's because she has a good relationship with her and is happy to see her friend, colleague, cohort, whatever, finally get a second chance, or she's like, good, this will help make us better over here, because that's not going to do anyone any favors. I don't know. Maybe that's
espionage.
Yeah.
From Velvet. It's just so, I think how do I want to phrase this? I'm thinking of a Velveteen Dream, a Tessa Blanchard, right? Like some of these figures in wrestling who really nearly had the world in their hands, could have been future WrestleMania main eventers. And then obviously these are two very different case studies. But just fumbled it. And like, I remember watching Tessa Blanchard. This was like 2018, 2019, when she was rising the ranks in TNA, and not only women's champion, Brad, but there were calls from the fan base for her to be the world champion of TNA. It was a layup for her to end up in WWE, take on Charlotte, again, WrestleMania match. Because and she just really had the world in her hands, and she made choices.
She's Richie Incognito. She's just Richie Incognito.
Incognito. Yes,
it's the same story.
It's
racist and bullying, and
you act in a despicable fashion, and rightfully you're not going to be given those opportunities. But enough time passes where it's in the rear view. Time has passed.
That in the wrestling career lasts a lot longer than a professional football player's career. Like your knees as a lineman aren't holding up for as long as like you can staple them back together and just remove that move from your move set. You can't exactly do that in the NFL, but she's just sort of like the women's wrestling version of Richie Incognito, where all that stuff happened.
That's
it's
a great
widely.
Do you know Richie Incognito went to my high school? Did I tell you that?
Do you have a Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure his name is somewhere at the school. I don't know now, but he's one of the most famous Mountain Ridge High School
that's wild.
ever. We were different eras, but I don't think we were there at the same time. But yeah, he went to my high school, and that's crazy news. There were reporters. Our journalism teacher, he shared with us that there were reporters coming to the school wanting to know
get some background about
what was he like in high school. Was he flaming racist? When he was a Mountain Ridge mountain lion. I just don't know what to do with this. And I have a lot of affinity for TNA. I mean, I'm a TNA Plus subscriber at the moment because they were running their end of year discount. But is Tessa coming in a reason for me to cancel? Maybe. I just hope that she's grown. I just think there's so much talent in that women's division. And if you spend time building them enough, maybe they can have the cachet and the name value of a Tessa Blanchard, but you pivoting right to her, I get it from a business standpoint for what you're going to lose, but man, that's a heck of a risk you're taking, considering you've built up all this goodwill as a company in 2024. Very risky.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I also have a TNA. What do we miss here? So we saw at the end of that event that Ryan Nemeth, right? Or Nick Nemeth.
Oh, Nick Nemeth. Yeah.
Nick Nemeth. Ryan
Nick
Nemeth.
You retained.
Well, Ryan Nemeth was recently in the news too, but Nick Nemeth.
He was.
Yeah. Another what did we miss? Nick Nemeth retained, but Joe Hendry picked up the belt. They had some eye contact. Okay. Joe Hendry looks like he's going to get a shot at the title. Do you think Joe Hendry winning the title is the clear path for Joe Hendry at the Royal Rumble?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
here's why.
Okay.
The Royal Rumble
Just told me
TNA, the Royal Rumble TNA entrants. Who were they in the women's division? Who were they?
Right.
The last two.
Jordan Grace. She was women's champ, and then before that was
Mickey
Mickey James, right? Yeah,
was women's champ.
Good call.
They were
for
both
sure.
champions in the Rumble. They have people in the Rumble from TNA if those people are their champion. So Joe Hendry coming in with the belt makes all the sense of the world for them to be like, oh yeah, we will allow you to come in here since he's been doing NXT stuff. We will allow you, champion of another company that we at least respect, to be in this Rumble. The pop's going to be insane at the Rumble. But I saw that and I was like, I just feel like this is the clear path for him to show up. And I think he's definitely somebody on their radar for when he becomes available. And if nothing else, for the crowd interactions, we know we can work, but it's not like it's next level in ring work. It's competent, good wrestling and an incredible character. So WWE,
we've seen that's a formula for success.
100%. Yeah. So like it's worked for LA Knight. Yeah. LA Knight's not out there doing groundbreaking moves. He's just out there doing good wrestling.
That's a great comp for Joe Hendry.
So I'm hoping to see more of that. Outside of that, I don't know, man. This was too busy of a week. I was ill. Last week things happened. I was really excited to wear my Detroit Pistons sweater when Detroit beat the Knicks, and I put it on the morning of. I'm glad I didn't wear it because they got destroyed by Boston that night, and that's really what we missed.
Yeah, the Suns are just over 500 as of this recording. Kevin Durant's been injured. It's looking like it's going to be another long NBA season for us.
Detroit's already over 10 wins.
Detroit has vastly improved.
They're not 500, but they're not terribly far out of 500 right now. So
I'm very happy for you.
Last time I looked, they were like 10-16 or something. So that's compared to last year.
Competent.
Good Lord. Yes.
We just asked for competency.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. It already feels like a win of a season. So, and it's terrible, but it's the East. So anything can happen.
Anything can happen. On the bright side, Brad, I think this has been a win of an episode.
I agree.
Gimmick infringement.
Marathon.
In case we haven't mentioned, we're really leaning into this hard. 2-time Sports Podcast Award Best Wrestling Podcast finalist. Again, we would love your vote. Of course, please take the time to follow us on social. We will be promoting this. Of course, we will continue to give you exclusive show updates. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram and even Facebook at GIPod19. We thank you sincerely for being with us every single week, every Monday. It really it means so much to Brad and I, and we hope you'll continue to join us on this journey. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.